Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rebooked, the show where we talk about the big meaty men and women who be slapping all the meat and the stories they're telling in the process, brother. I'm, of course, GB. You have the lovely Matt, and let us not forget about the one and only Jake. There he is. Just, hit us with the blue steel. Oh, my God. Right. Of course. And today we are going to talk about all of the amazing stories that are happening in the world of professional wrestling across all the different brands. And don't forget that if you are watching us on YouTube, you can go ahead and check out. Well, firstly, you should like and subscribe because that would be really nice. We're trying to grow this thing, get us to 2,000 subscribers, little by little, brick by brick. We want to build that up. And if you happen to listen to this on Spotify, make sure you leave a review, like the episode, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. Wherever you decide to listen to your audio goodness, go ahead and shower us with some love so that we can grow this thing and do fun, honest, nerdy, professional wrestling dialogue the way the good Lord intended. In any case, so fellas, we're back again, and we've had quite the weekend, because we didn't know whether or not we were going to get Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, given the current world of geopolitical, situations. Good news happened.
They held off just for that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Bad news for CM Punk, though. I'll tell you that much. But that being said, it still was exciting show. Obviously, these shows are always crazy. The stage, by the way, good God, that thing was
huge. It was just.
At what point is it too much? I do have to ask that question. At what point do you have too many LEDs behind you? I
don't think we have the answer to that yet.
We haven't figured it out, right?
Yeah, we haven't found it.
But it was an exciting show. Lots of things happened. We had a title change, and we also had a title change on Monday Night Raw, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And we had the results of King of the Ring, and we were asking a question: who's going to win? I don't think we disputed Cody winning King of the Ring, right? I think we were all pretty much aligned on that one. It was the women's.
No, I picked Randy because I didn't know who the hell was going to do it.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. And then I know that I was more on Team Asuka for the Jade Asuka match, but of course Jade Cargill ended up winning. So let's first talk about that. And Jake, you had went for Randy. You weren't quite sure what was going to happen, but Cody wins, and now he's the number one contender. Does this feel like we're going in a good direction here with Cody's story, with John Cena's story, with the way everything's been working?
I don't know.
I felt like the reaction.
I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. I mean,
it just felt like people were not with it, to a certain extent, right? I'm not crazy.
No,
okay.
I mean, I don't know. It even feels like it fell a little flat there live. Now, I will say this. I did think for many matches, the Saudi crowd was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
They had their moments. I think I know what you were gonna say, and yes, that's when I agree that they didn't.
I'm sorry, but it's just
excited either.
No bueno.
No. But I don't know. Like I just don't know what the plan is from here. I mean, it's one of those situations where it's like it's tough because you kind of know the end result is like Cena's going to drop the title at some point. Is it at the end of his run?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it more towards the middle so that it kind of gives him freedom to do other stuff?
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, we talked about it last week where it seems like, we just had the match with Randy and Cena. So it didn't make 100% sense for that to happen. But then also, like, why have Randy lose King of the Ring in the finals 2 years in a row?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's like, okay. I mean, it makes sense in the way of, Cody didn't have his rematch or get a rematch at all. So give him that opportunity. But I don't know. I just like, it felt like there was more excitement for Randy to win,
Yeah.
and I just don't know. Like,
I don't
although
know. Yeah.
we have seen some moments where Cody's done some, I don't want to say questionable things, but certainly things that he may not have done a year or two ago as a face.
Yeah.
So are we starting to tease some kind of a heel turn? Is it, oh, Cody has to become a heel to beat a heel
Yeah.
kind of thing? I don't know, and I don't know if that's the right
I don't hate
call
that
or
though.
not.
I
Yeah, but
don't
the
hate.
question is,
Yeah.
if he's not your big baby face, if he turns heel, who's your big
Yeah,
baby face?
that's the thing.
Who is it after that? You know?
Sammy?
I guess, but Sammy can hardly get a title shot, much less win one,
Yeah.
you
It's true.
know?
It's true.
So that's the only thing. I mean, but then also we saw, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little later, you know, he beat Karrion Kross, so I don't know where the hell that goes now. I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt, what about you?
Oh, so like I was excited initially over the weekend with the idea based off the finish of the King of the Ring, the exposed turnbuckle, Cody pushes him into it. Randy, by the way, what again in a King of the Ring final has a like match of the year level performance.
Yeah,
Even
Yeah.
so
just
good.
his selling of like the back and the ribs and everything like that, and everything he did was
Yep.
so good
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that. So like the finish with the exposed turnbuckle, that led me. I had a little bit of the thought of like, oh, Cody had to use it to win and blah blah. But then again, the other babyface in the match, Randy, is the one who exposed it. So
Yep.
like they were both kind of going to what it kind of pushing the limit on what they wanted to do to
You
win to
expect
get
that
to that.
from Randy, though.
That's what I was gonna say. You expect that from Randy.
You
Sure,
know?
he's still the Viper, right? There's still
Yeah.
like I do like them treating these characters not like, oh, when you're on the babyface side of the page, all of a sudden you're a white knight.
True.
These are
True.
still people with pasts and motives and attitudes that while the overall kind of arc of their character may change for now, the depths of the character are still the same. So somebody who would fight off people with a chair is still going to go around swinging chairs and middle fingers, etc.
Yeah.
Like a Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, yeah, I'm on the same boat. I'm like, yeah, they were both kind of just doing what they needed to do to win. So I like the idea of maybe, and I don't think it has to turn Cody heel if he has to do heelish things to beat the
Agreed.
GOAT, John
Yeah.
Cena. There could be a story where it's like, fine. Like he subverts the
Could be a
when
turnabout
they
is
go
fair
low,
play
we
kind
go
of
high
thing.
kind of thing. Yeah. When you go low, I'll go lower
Yeah.
and give you a taste of your own medicine kind of story. And like, so we
I
might
don't
see
see
him
that
kicking
working
Cena
out
in the nuts.
for Cody. I just don't see that working out for Cody. Like if Cody wins the title the same way, like if let's say he like hits Cena with the championship belt or something like that, you know, I don't see that working out for him. Like
I don't either.
from a character perspective, I don't see the crowd being like, yeah, Cody, he deserved it, because people love John Cena regardless of
True.
like what's
As we've seen on
as
all
we've
of these
seen.
matches, he gets these we love Cena reactions by the end of whatever he's doing, regardless of nut shots and belt shots.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, it's always whatever happened. We were happy to see John Cena one more time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it's very bizarre. Now,
It is
if
bizarre.
it is a full-on Cody heel turn, then I am okay with that, because then it's like this is who he had to become to win the title. He went way too dark. He went way too far. I mean, we saw what he did to Kevin Owens,
And he
right?
liked the taste.
And he enjoyed it. You know, he relished over his supposed friend's mangled carcass on the table with a very specific shot. That shot will always remain in my head of Cody lifting that title while Kevin Owens was underneath on the I think it was like right next to commentary, and Cody was like holding the belt up. And it was like how tone deaf did Cody feel in that moment when everything that Kevin Owens was saying was accurate, right? Like, you know, you did do the things that you said you wouldn't do. You did team up with the people who terrorized WWE for a super long time. And then in order to win the belt back, you stooped to the same levels that John Cena did. That's compelling to me.
I mean, we don't I just had that thought too. We don't, of course, know Kevin's timeline. Necks are very funny. It could be 6 months from now. It could be another year and a half, depending on how recovery goes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but it does give Randy Orton an opportunity to maybe fit into that role, because he could say something to the effect of, you know, people expect me to expose the turnbuckle. People don't expect you to use the turnbuckle. You know, and I think that can also have some weight if they wanted to go that route. I love Cody Rhodes. I think he's an awesome dude. I've been a fan of his for so long, and I like the fact that he is very, you know, adamant on being a face. But I think that you did the face thing. You won Mania as the biggest baby face to have been manufactured in the history of wrestling up until that point. Now it felt like, because I mean it was insane. Go for it, Jake.
He could have a good run, like as a righteous heel.
Ooh,
you know, of like a
that's fun.
Of like, you know, look, I didn't do this because I wanted the title. I did this to get this off of Cena.
Did it to save professional wrestling.
You all saw how he was. Like, who?
I mean, to be fair,
if I
aren't
didn't
all
do
heels
this,
righteous?
Well, exactly.
If
But like,
if they're well constructed,
have him really lean into the Homelander Cody thing that everybody's kind of been wanting to have for a while. Of like, you know, look, he was going to take it with him.
Yeah,
he was going to take the title with him. Is that what y'all want? Y'all want like forever, like there to be an asterisk next to the name of the champion because John Cena retired with the title and took it?
Yeah.
No, I saved the company. I saved the soul of this company. Did I have to sacrifice my own? Arguably. But yeah, I'm a company man. I did what was best for WWE, what was best for the WWE universe.
What's best for business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think that could be good if they went that route. But something tells me they're and apologies if it sounds harsh.
He still should act like a face. He still needs to act like a face.
I think they might be too chicken shit to do that. Honestly.
Probably. To Jake's point, I mean, I think it's really good story. I think it's really good character development potentially. But to Jake's point earlier, the tough part is that who is your face of the company good guy? I mean, Roman's coming back, but we already know he's kind of winding down his time. He's not like full time.
You don't think he gets one more run with the title?
Maybe, but again, I think it's a token one more of anything.
He's got to go film Street Fighter.
Yeah, like he's begun his John Cena arc of like, I'm gone for 6-8 months. I come back for Mania. I'm gone for another 5-4. I think we're gonna start seeing that in the next year or two. I mean, you've got Punk, but again, he's also in the latter end. There's nobody else in their prime as a marketable like baby face. Maybe LA Knight is starting to crest that. You know, your Jey Usos, his reactions since losing the title have been just as strong, if not stronger, like this past Monday.
He's still popular.
Which I liked.
Yeah.
And because like the first, that's a whole nother conversation. But so there's people who might be able to crest that in the next year or two. I don't know the timeline, but currently there's nobody else there. Who?
Penta? I mean, I don't think it's him either, but he's getting. I mean, he
could, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
As much as I love Penta, and I will cry if that man wins a world championship in WWE, and I genuinely mean that because watching that man since Lucha Underground is genuinely incredible. I don't see them giving that kind of accolade to Lucha. I just don't. That's not Rey Mysterio. You got to
build someone else up, though.
You can give him the world title. I can see him getting.
So many heels on the roster. Yeah, like everybody's a heel.
It's a little suffocating. It is a little suffocating. It is.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm looking at the roster now, and it's like, okay, AJ Styles, he's already playing on the back nine of his career. Austin Theory, nothing. Braun, bad guy. Bronson Reed, bad guy. Brutus Creed, bad guy. Chad Gable, bad guy.
Yeah.
Punk, last half of his career. Dominic Mysterio, he's not going to go face.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, you just keep going. I mean,
and you're gonna have to
Grayson
put in some
Waller,
work to
heel,
turn someone like
Finn, heel.
like
Finn?
a Gunther.
Like, could Finn eventually turn?
Finn.
I don't know.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, Jake, that there is an overabundance of heels right now because it is good and fun to write, and it's obviously like it gets good reactions.
It's easier to write.
It's easier to write for sure because there's so many great ways you can go.
It's easier to get someone to hate you than it is to make them love you.
Yeah, which is
Baby
why
faces
I think
have to be natural, kind of in a way. Heels, you can write like that if you want to. They hit somebody in the nuts.
Yeah.
They beat up somebody people like, and you can't instantly make a baby face. Rarely, unless they make some kind of miraculous save, and it's like, oh my god! But
you take Cody, make him heel, and he has one of his righteous beatdowns on Jey Uso or something like that, or LA Knight. Or one of those individuals who has, or Sami Zayn, one of those individuals who has the natural crowd reaction. May not be right now the face that runs the place, but there is a reaction there. And I think that's worth exploring. Or at least I hope it's worth exploring.
And I mean, if recovery goes well, something like I'm going to knock on a lot of wood, like a Mania next year. A Kevin Owens return would be a thunderous babyface reaction.
That was the one I was about to say. Like if he can get well and he can wrestle safely,
he's the
could
guy.
Potentially do it. He could hit like that Stone Cold vibe.
Yeah,
he's the guy. I do agree, big time on that one. Well,
but a lot of up in the air.
Yeah.
A lot up in the air
between now and then.
Well, let's go ahead and table that one and move over to the women's King of the Ring, or Queen of the Ring, matchup. And I also want to give a massive shout out to Jade Cargill for this dope ass Storm gear. Obviously, the Omega level mutant that makes everyone tremble in fear. So it was a really, really good outfit choice. It is a good look, fit everything. Goes up against, the queen, the empress of tomorrow, Asuka, who's still amazing in every single way. I did feel like it would have been great for her to win, but now it's very obvious where we're going with what's going with the women's world title. But yeah, I mean, we end up with just a match between two great wrestlers, Asuka being fantastic. I am a little bit trepidatious on Jade. I feel like right now it's a lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong here. You guys can say I'm off the goop here, but I feel like it's a lot of flair, but not a lot of substance right now with Jade Cargill.
I think we're still there. I think it's improving. I think it's meeting the flair. It's starting to. When she first in AEW, she was super protected and kind of it was Goldberg style matches, almost short, right? She was beating people in 5 minutes or less, kind of thing like that. So it was easy to skate by. A lot of charisma and a lot of presentation and a lot this. Since I'll include her time in AEW as well, but then since joining WWE, I feel like it started there, but it's still rising to meet. The substance is still rising to meet the presentation. So it's better, but I think she still has a ways to go before she's, a ring general or commanding great performances with anybody.
I agree. And I guess in that regard, where that could maybe help is a very obvious collision course with Naomi, who is a pound for pound vet who's been doing this for a super long time, successful in other companies, successful in WWE. I'm very excited for the prospect of her becoming world champion. That is going to be freaking awesome because she hasn't been world champion in a minute. And she very much deserves it. So that will be very fun. And I think you can get good folly here for Jade. But outside of that really is it. That's really just what it is. There isn't, Jake, right? There isn't much else to this. It's pretty obvious where we are headed plain and simple, right?
Yeah, it was pretty obvious for Matt and I when we picked it last week.
I just wanted to hope. I just wanted to hope, man. And also,
That's your
okay,
problem, kid.
a dissenting opinion is perfectly fine as far as I still.
Not when it's wrong.
Damn. No, but yeah, so that's basically where that is.
No, but again, it's a case of like what's obvious isn't always bad.
Yeah.
And when what's obvious, it's not always the wrong choice either. I think we just need to see something from Jade because I hesitate to say she hasn't proven herself as a singles competitor. I don't know. That sounds like, I mean, what the fuck do I know? I'm just some asshole sitting here talking about it. But like, but on her own, we haven't really seen much. Like she was, and again, I don't want to say carried. She was assisted with, by Bianca and by Naomi, and kind of helped her learn more how things are done in WWE. But like, yeah, so far she's kind of been an entrance and like a behemoth in the ring.
Yeah.
While like the substance of a character, like we've been it feels like we're still trying to find that. It still feels like who we're trying to figure out, okay, who is Jade Cargill?
Yeah, we
get she's a badass, but it feels very generic right now.
Feels like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but this feels like early Rhea Ripley. Where Rhea, when she showed up, everyone was like, bro, she is dominant. She's got the look.
Great shape.
The music's dope. The entrance is dope. She's got everything. But it wasn't until that Judgment Day arc. It wasn't until that iconic shot when she cut her hair and she had the belt out and she looked like a fucking raid boss. And then it just kept on like building up, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that was like the turning point for her. And maybe because of the fact that we have so much time, right, between now and I believe she'll be challenging at SummerSlam. I think that's what we've
Evolution.
Or no.
That's what Rhea is doing.
Yeah.
Rhea is challenging.
We're talking about Rhea, right?
No. Talking about Jade.
You were just talking about Rhea.
No, I was talking about Rhea in the context of what how she presented herself. But what I mean is, with Jade, we have time from here to when she actually does challenge for that title. So there are going to be opportunities for them to be able to bring out that character. I would hope so. But I think part of the reason why Rhea was so good is because Judgment Day was really starting to find their voice, and they were all kind of, hidden notes at the same time. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah. This feels a little bit like a more advanced version of her AEW run. I'm not gonna lie. Where like she's doing a little bit more longer matches, but it's still very much the same. It's still, Jade does big move, Jade wins, but it's a longer match and they're good and I'm enjoying them. I know that it's gonna come and I'm very much looking forward to when that moment happens. None of us predicted this one. Nope. We all were convinced that Solo Sikoa was going to take the L at Night of Champions, and my guy is now the United States champion. Crazy stuff. But you know what? I am not mad about it.
No, I'm not mad about it either, actually.
Yeah. Why is that, Matt?
I think Solo's been in incredible position. Don't get me wrong. I mean, being part of the bloodline and basically being in the main event for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But he's been in a weird spot because he came in and he was the enforcer. And so like, you're kind of forced to not have a personality. Like when in a way, he was supposed to be the guy staring there. He's the bouncer of the bloodline for so long, right? Then they start to have the split, the break, and all that stuff, and then ultimately ending up in the new bloodline, which kind of fumbled because he was trying to just be, I think, someone he wasn't, which maybe was good for the story.
That was
right.
Yeah, felt like the point a little bit.
Yeah, it's like he was trying to be the Roman when he wasn't Roman, and so it all fell apart. So, and then in the last several months, and we've talked about it here and there, like that Uso personality, like, because again, remember, this is Jimmy and Jay's brother, and if you know anything, if you've seen interviews with them outside of care, like they're a funny effing family. Like they're charismatic, they're funny, they goof, they rib. and all that stuff. So like it started to poke out, like when he was managing Jacob and managing Tama and Tonga and everything like that. And so like, but so now I think it's like people are like finally vibing with him, as it felt like one of those moments in the last like 2 months maybe where it was like almost, this is a huge hyperbolic statement, but similar track.
On this show?
There's the
Never.
old story about John Cena that Stephanie McMahon heard him freestyling on the tour bus and on a European tour and was like, what the hell? Why don't you do that on TV kind of thing?
Yeah.
I feel like in a similar way, there's probably people finally like creative or agents or whatever were like hanging around him with the boys and were like, what the hell is it like? Why are you not talking like this? Why are you not like acting like this on TV with your character? And so I think they brought it out. So I think this was a bit of a little bit of an attaboy for holding down what he has done with like all the new bloodline stuff and blah blah blah, and kind of just being pushed around wherever he needed to go. So I think there's a little bit of that, like just to attaboy for that. And I also think, as we've talked about before, because I think Solo needed a big win like this of some type. You know what I mean? He's been so inconsistent, like up and down, like they won a bunch of stuff, but then they would never win anything and it was floundering. So like I think he needed a big win like this. And then I also, and I will promise I'm done now. I think the US title can be one of those titles that you don't have to hold for 2 years or 9 months. So Jacob could win it back at SummerSlam and it would be fine.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
He could torture Jacob Fatu for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and then Jacob wins it back in a big shebang, or not. But I think it could be okay. So like I'm okay with this.
Yeah. We also had a big debut as well. Forgot to mention it. Hikuleo, who is now going as Talatonga, which I kind of like. I like it. I like the Tonga. The Tonga name is being used. Why you hate it?
Because there are so many. There's Tongas and there's Tongas and there's too many Tongas.
Well, they're clearly trying to establish something here.
Like,
it's the Tongan family thing.
But they all sound the same. All the names sound the same. Tamatonga, Talatonga, Tongaloa. They all sound the same.
That's the problem. I don't mind the connection between like Tamatonga and Talatonga, because there's an actual relation there too. But like then they decided to give like Tongaloa, like made it his first name. So it's like, wait, is it a first name or a last name?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
We don't know. Yeah. And did they rename JC whatever or
JC Mateo?
He's just JC Mateo, right? Jeff Cobb. I mean, I'll be honest, Jeff Cobb was a better name. But hey, maybe he didn't want to use it, which is also
they want a more Polynesian name, because that JC Mateo doesn't sound Polynesian.
Well, yeah, I don't know where
Polynesian.
I don't know where is Jeff Cobb from? He's from
he is Polynesian. It's
from
not
the
Samoa,
street, son.
Yeah, I mean that too.
He has Polynesian heritage. I don't know
what's
fake.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard the name Mateo out there, like that's not like an absurd name, especially like when you consider, like you can meet a person from the Philippines and their name Hernandez, and you're just like, wait, what? That's confusing. Yeah, I'm not sure if I compute that, but it is very, very doable. Colonialism.
Born in Hawaii.
Colonialism and imperialism, one hell of a thing,
Yeah.
But this does help establish Solo's team.
Oh, he's from Guam. Sorry.
Oh, he's from Guam. So then the Mateo name actually, I think, makes,
or his family is from Guam,
a little bit more sense, I believe, in that regard. But it does help establish this team. And it is interesting that, remember, Paul Heyman said he did not want a Solo to be with the Tongans because they're animals and all this stuff. And yet Solo Sikoa has brought all the Tongans to WWE. I quite like that. And I'm very fascinated to see where things go from here. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, about damn time Solo got himself another championship, because I think the only one he's won was the North American and NXT. So good to see him, holding it down still for the States. And was there anything else like really noticeable? Oh yeah, there was the World Heavyweight Championship fight that happened between John Cena and CM Punk. Now look, we knew how this was gonna go, so this isn't like rock. Like no one should be surprised.
We knew the result.
We knew the result, but I don't think anyone could anticipate just how absurd some of the Penta running. My guy
the walk-in.
My guy's like taunting. He's like actively doing his thing in real time. It was so silly. Oh man, but yeah. I mean, what you guys think of the match, Matt? We can start with you and your thoughts.
I thought it was a decent enough match until the brouhaha. Like I love sometimes some overbooked shenanigans, but this took the cake a little bit. I think this jumped the shark a wee bit.
This felt silly.
That's the problem too, that I think they booked themselves into a corner a little bit with this John Cena arc, even outside of all the Seth Rollins and company nonsense.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure how I feel about Seth and Punk again. Like it does. I get it. They could be forever long time rivals. I like people that can keep coming back to each other, but it's like, it seems like within a calendar year, it's been like nothing but. And
yeah.
So it's a little bit repetitive. But with John Cena, they've almost booked themselves into a corner a little bit. Like with the Mania win, it was like, oh, he went the ultimate cheap shot, right? Nut shot. Belt shot, like now it's like he has to win like that every time. So it's not even like unique finishes. Like every title match he's had had some kind of low blow and a shot with the belt.
Yeah.
And to win. So like it's a little bit of a repetitious thing, and it's kind of dull.
Yeah.
That said, I don't know if we're seeing glimmers of reforming John Cena. You know what I mean? He was the victim of the attack too. There was that weird embrace with Punk at the end where he gave the look, the Cody look again. I don't know.
Why do they do that?
I don't know. Again, now I'm like how Jake was at the beginning of the episode, where it's like I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do, but they don't seem to be going strong in any one direction.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
it was
Jake,
weird.
What about
the whole
you?
thing was kind of weird.
I agree. What about you, Jake? What's your read on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's trying to show cracks in the heel armor of John Cena. I think that that's what it's trying to do. I don't know if it completely succeeded. Because also, like, come on, Punk, you should know better. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just like Punk should have known better than to do that. Just because he's been on that side of things so many times. And why would you trust John Cena at all?
Yeah.
I mean, given your history, why would you trust him?
Yeah.
The match was good until all the shenanigans.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would have been fine
when it hit that.
If it was just the cheating and he won without the shenanigans. I actually would have been just fine with that.
I agree. I think that would have been. I think that would have been better too.
I think they're clearly. I don't know about you guys. Given Monday, I'm getting the feeling they're trying to. They still see money in Punk and Seth, which I get. There's a great history and rivalry there, but like I said, it just seems like they've crammed a lot of that. It'll be like it was a Punk's return, and then they kind of stayed away, and then they had the match, and then they kind of stayed away, but then they went back to Mania, and they kind of stayed away, but then they're back to it again. Like, it's not even they're giving them like 2 months to breathe, and then they're back in each other's
because, like, at least with Swerve and Hangman, like they were far away from each other after
like
their encounter
before they came back, like, again. So like that's what I'm saying. Like, I get the idea of longtime rivals who kind of, it always comes back to us. I like that story, but you let it breathe. It feels like we're going to a triple threat at SummerSlam with Gunther and these guys.
Yeah.
once we clear Goldberg, which I assume Gunther
Why would
will.
you book the Money in the Bank champion in a title match?
I mean, that's happened. There's a lot of precedent for that. A lot of people have asked that, but it's like, well, look, if I can get into a title match without seeing this is my backup plan.
I mean, that's
it's
fair.
my backup mag. You know what I mean?
Right.
That if it doesn't go my way, I immediately chair shot, cash in, and then I win. You know,
I
stuff
actually do like that. We haven't really seen that in a while. Everything's always been surprise entrance, surprise show up. Oh, do this surprise thing. That actually is kind of cool. Like the whole, hey, I'm Seth Rollins. I'm good enough to be in the main event of SummerSlam. You need me.
You cash it in to be in the match from the start as opposed to during the match. You know what I mean? Like not heist style, but more like, because remember when was the last time? No, I feel like there are other times. Somebody will correct me, but like the one I remember is Cena and Rob Van Dam. Cena had money in it. It was like a month before. It was like, I'm using this at One Night Stand or whatever. Or something like that. Or no, that's when
the Rob Van Dam was the one who called a shot.
Rob called on Cena.
Yeah,
that's
he called a shot on Cena.
So like, even though Seth is a heel, you know, especially given a little bit of that Punk Gunther interaction on Monday, maybe they get set up into a match and Seth like maybe the week before or something like that, like puts himself in the match, maybe even the night of. I don't know. But I don't. Maybe
if you were doing that, I'd rather see like the bell is about to ring for the match to start, and then Seth's music hits.
That would be hype.
He's like, no, now this is a triple threat.
Yeah,
but then like I get the
and Seth has an army behind him. You know,
true, and I mean. Okay, I just talked myself out of it. Because I was like, he is a heel, though. So, like, and he's a pretty good, even though he's really, really good, he is a pretty good chicken shit kind of heel in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, like, why would he just put himself in a match straight up, even though he's coming in at the last minute, right? But the underlying fact to that could be of, like, look, I'm going to come in with the gusto of like, I'm going to put myself in this match straight up. I'm joining you boys. It's a triple threat match. But what does a triple threat match mean that a singles match isn't? There's no disqualification. So his boys automatically can come in and play and help him out. If the minute things start going awry for him.
Right.
Yeah. Because it does,
I don't know.
It does feel like, because one thing I enjoyed from this episode was when Seth said, I traveled all that way, because I think Gunther was like, oh wow, you traveled all this way to fail at a cash in, and Seth was like, I did not fly over there to cash in on Cena. I went over there to stop CM Punk. And I think
he just wanted to join the long list of haters who flew across the world to merely run in on him.
And let me tell you, I give him credit because my guy flat out said, I'm a hater. I'm a hater, and I'm going to go and I'm going to travel far and wide to be a hater. And I respect that. I really do.
AJ Styles did that, I think, last year.
He did. AJ Styles has always been a trendsetter. But the thing is, I think if you see CM Punk in a title fight, then you will expect Seth Rollins not far behind. So if you see that card at SummerSlam is Gunther versus CM Punk, Seth Rollins is going to be involved. And I like that they already put that foreshadowing out there. That's his mission. But how do we feel about Rollins going after the World Heavyweight Championship again? Because I actually think that's kind of good. Because
I think it's great.
I think so
it's
too.
Great, yeah.
Because he said explicitly, he was like, I said I'm going after a world title. Didn't say which one.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you that inclination that for Seth Rollins in his mind, and rightfully so, as it should be, the World Heavyweight Championship is 1A, 1B. Pick your poison, whichever one you want. But it's equal. And he views two opportunities to win a world championship.
But he also sees that heavyweight title. That's the title that Seth built.
Yes, that's his belt.
That's his title. That's his
belt.
In a lot of ways,
yeah. He established that title in the same way that Reigns had established a undisputed championship in his era. Seth Rollins established that title. So yeah, I agree. I thought overall it's like the Cena match aside and the muddiness of that water that came with it, just all the shenanigans, honestly, and I don't mean this to be disparaging, but it's a pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia, and ultimately like that has proven to be multiple times like a fucking side quest type of pay-per-view where like, you know, the canon doesn't matter and whatever happens happens. It's like one of those old Dragon Ball movies where you saw Garlic Jr. face off against like Goku and stuff. You're like, who the hell is Garlic Jr.? I never saw him in the TV show. You know, like it's basically the same. That's how it felt like for me. And I don't
mean,
mind
outside of the King and Queen of the Ring,
Outside of that.
results are obviously very
Yeah.
pertinent to SummerSlam, etc.
That was about it. And then after that,
But other than that,
and I'm talking purely for the world title. I'm not talking about you know, they have a tendency to do that for a lot of the big matches because their goal is, you know, to sell these people a marquee matchup, right? Saudi Arabians got Cena versus Punk. They got Logan versus Roman. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a clear objective there. So which is why for me it's like, you know, I just kind of brushed it to a side. But yeah, you know, we'll of course see what happens there. Before we wrap things up, though, do want to shed some light on what is going to be going down on the women's side of things because we now know definitively that Rhea Ripley will be challenging Io Sky at WWE Evolution, which is going to be the all-women pay-per-view, which is a great show, and 100% support women's wrestling. It is a shame that they're putting it so close to so many other events that are going on right now, but whatever, it's perfectly fine. There's plenty of time to watch both, watch everything. So, but you know, look, I'm going to just be very upfront and just share my thought. I am disappointed. I am disappointed. I feel like they screwed Io Sky yet again on another one of her title runs. That's all I have. That's just how it feels for me.
Explain.
She hasn't done anything with this belt, man. She's
about to defend it in a marquee match.
And I don't disagree, but do we really think she's going to win?
Yeah.
You think she's going to win? You think Io's going to beat Rhea Ripley at Evolution?
Here's my problem with it. I don't think this is like oh great, they're surefire putting it back on. They might. I don't think it is locked though.
Okay.
My problem is I'm a little bored of Rhea and Io.
Yeah,
especially when they're both kind of baby. Unless this is a heel turn for Rhea, which would make an exciting change for her character.
Because she can't beat Io.
Yeah, I'm just a little bored. Like we saw it kind of happening before Mania, the stuff at Mania with Bianca, and like it's just like it's just two good guys who are real good, and like I don't know, I'm a little bored of it, and like I think she might win, and I think but if she just wins and is still the same Rhea, I'm really
I send it back.
If it's yes, I send it back.
I send it back.
But if she wins with a pretty substantial heel turn, telling that story of like I can't beat Io unless I do X. Okay, no, I would prefer Io to go into SummerSlam as champion, but at least business was done as a result of that change. So yeah, because I'm just kind of bored of this feud, and it doesn't feel big. And they just had that promo and just like, I want to face you again. Okay, I want to face you again. All right, it is happening.
It is official.
My hope is that it somehow leads to Io and Asuka, because I don't know if we had that segment last week or a couple weeks ago where Io brought up damage control and Asuka was like, yeah, but there is no damage control anymore, and just kind of walked away. Like, I don't know if there's a world where we see Asuka interfere in this match at Evolution and try to Revolution. Okay, yeah. I don't know if there's a world where we see her interfere there.
Yeah, salty. She lost the Queen of the Ring. You know, wants to get back to the top.
This was supposed to be my match anyway. You know, I would be very interested in seeing that.
Yeah. I would agree in that regard. Would you be interested in seeing that if Rhea were to win?
No.
And so you're not interested in Io versus Asuka, not like just in general. You're just if it's not for the title
on the line.
You want the title on the line.
I want the title on the line for the
That's
two
fair.
of them. I think both of them deserve that.
That's fair.
I think both of them deserve that prestige of
Do not
having
disagree.
it be for the women's championship.
Do not disagree. And I mean, they are two of the greatest wrestlers to come out of Japan. There's a laundry list of talented wrestlers that came out of Japan. But if Asuka and Io Sky are not in a majority of the top 5, you're crazy. So it's like you kind of have to give them that opportunity. I do agree with that. And SummerSlam would bang, bro.
And Rhea is so young. She has so much of her career ahead of her, I feel like.
Yeah.
Whereas, Asuka's like in her early 40s, is she not?
Oh no. Actually.
Something like that.
Also, I don't need that. I don't need you to put that evil out in the world.
Well, no, I'm just saying
yeah.
I'm just saying as
43 years old. 43 years old for
Kanako. So there you go. And Rhea's not even 30. So she's got plenty of time. There's Rhea's going to be dominating this division
the next 10 years
for the next decade.
Yeah. 28.
Yeah. So
and also Io Sky, let's not forget. I mean, again, love Io Sky, but she's 35. Right? So I mean, this is where you want to get the really good match between her and Asuka, because they're both gonna put on a banger, because they're both capable of doing that right now, and they're at their peak.
If not now, when?
Yeah. When would you do that? We don't lose that. Don't leave that money on the table. I know we're talking like bookers here rather than storyline nerds, but I'm sorry, but just please give it to me. That's all I want. This isn't a difficult case for me. I don't think it's a difficult case for any of us. We'll of course see where things go with that. Evolution is coming up. That will happen July 13th in Atlanta, Georgia. That will follow Saturday night's main event on July 12th. There's another big wrestling show happening that day, but we'll talk about that one in a second, because lots to talk about there. But last thing, I want to get quick reactions, quick thoughts. Judgment Day are tag champs again.
Go ahead, Matt.
I love it. You both wanted to jump into it. I love it.
I know, it was just are we I feel like we're in a weird Judgment Day babyface arc.
Yeah.
They got a babyface reaction, and they worked as the babyfaces in the match, essentially. I mean, it wasn't, I always say I'm very black and white in that. It shouldn't be, because it was a match of two heels for sure.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of a they were happy to see the Judgment Day beat the New Day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And the backstages they were doing, and there's the stuff with Roxanne and everything like that. I don't know. I think they're starting to come around it, even though they're heels. People are really liking their stuff. So I don't know. That was kind of my main takeaway. It was okay, could we see this start really swinging in that direction?
But this was surprising. I did not see this coming at all.
I did a little bit when Liv got hurt, and there was the stench in the air, if you will, which I think works perfectly for Roxanne to step in and, hey, instead of just stripping them of the titles, having a tournament, blah, blah, blah. Now we have this way better narrative of the usurper against the usurp, just like that. But it's explainable, because we need someone, otherwise you vacate. And you know what I mean? You have to give them up. And so it was a way we talk about it all the time, boys. What do you do when you want to put a faction on top? You drape them in gold.
That's right, brother.
I think this idea will be that, look how successful we were when Liv was gone. And Dom is going to be in the corner the whole time. And, oh, crap, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. And then Liv's going to come back and be sorry, Liv. We've ruled this place when you were gone.
Yep.
And so there's
I think
just more. It's more
it
high
needs to
school
be
drama. I love it.
I think it needs to be unwritten rule that anytime a female member of Judgment Day is injured, another female wrestler comes in
Just randomly
to ruin the day, and like they're immediately like
it's like, and I want
unceremoniously-
Finn to act like he's been like, oh, we talked about, like, I've been talking with her
Yeah.
for months. Like, oh, this is Kiana Jordan or whatever, Kiana James from NXT. She's like my best friend. She would be perfect. She'll step in.
Have you met my friend JC Jane? Oh, she's great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's the best bloke in the world. Like, just Finn has like all these like different female wrestlers just ready to go,
just
and
a
fill
line
in that
of
spot.
them. Yeah.
You know what though? Normally I'd be like a touch annoyed that like they're repeating the same story again. But
this is karmic.
But this
you know
is
what I mean?
karmic,
Like,
and that's okay. Exactly. So good.
I feel bad that the New Day, I think, still, since turning heel, which was a momentous turn for the team, have done nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
They won the titles, but they've been in
that's
story, like heavy written story. They've just like beat people. They made fun of the Viking Raiders, like, and had like title matches on Raw. There's been no like roller coaster deep, like well-written story for them. They've just like done stuff.
That to me is the biggest issue I have with it's not I don't have a problem with Judgment Day winning the titles. I have a problem at being at the expense of New Day, who I feel like have been given zero momentum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Despite being champions.
They interestingly though did do what they complained about Judgment Day doing when they had the titles originally, which was they didn't do anything. They never defended them. And they used to bitch and complain about that to whoever would listen. And now they've done it. And now Judgment Day is taking the titles off of them.
Yeah.
But where does that leave New Day? Like, that's the thing. Like if someone, I don't have a problem with like people winning titles or what. I do if it's at the expense of someone else, though. And it feels a little at the expense of New Day.
Yeah.
Because it felt like we had such promising potential with that storyline of them turning on E, and which, by the way, I don't know if you saw Big E's response after they lost the title. He just posted that picture of Seinfeld eating the popcorn, just going, "Nah, it's a shame."
a man who also has a famous popcorn eating gif of his own.
Exactly.
I think that is actually really funny. He should redo that. He should redo it on his own terms, so we can have the duality of Big E eating popcorn. I agree. I maybe you could see Big E coming back in to the story and being like, look, you guys, lost. Like you had to do all these underhanded things to win, and then you lost. And when we were bad guys together, we held that bad boy for ages, so I don't know where they could go here. But you're right. They really didn't do much with it. And that is disappointing, considering that we know like how good they are. Like all three of us know how good personally, which is like a rare thing for us to have, like having known Woods. We all know how good they are. So that's the part that's frustrating about it, but hey, c'est la vie. We'll see what happens. All right. Now that of course moves us on to TNA.
TNA.
Yeah. You know what, man? Fun week on Impact. Good matches. We also have a big update that just occurred like yesterday. Our director of authority, Santino Marella.
Literally after we were discussing, let's discuss this. Should he get added to the...
Yeah. And then they just
I thought that was hilarious. And then an hour later, they were like, yep, it's happening.
Now, the question I have is, Matt, how much did you know and why did you lead us on?
I know everything. Just keep that in mind at all times. I even know things in AEW and WWE. Tell you, I have connections everywhere.
I
I'm
said
just
they told me
leaving.
the graphic came up. My bad.
This is my thread that I'm pulling you on, and you have no choice but to follow it. That's all.
Oh wow, that's just
Yeah, I mean Matt was unusually quiet last week when I called for it becoming a triple threat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I noticed that too. Go back and watch the episode.
Yeah, he was just like,
Interesting.
huh, that's an interesting
I
thought.
wouldn't
Yeah.
hate that. I would not hate that. But yeah, look, it gets added as a triple threat. This is happening. We're gonna get Mike Santana, Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams for, of course, the beautiful TNA World Championship. I'm excited because I like all three of these wrestlers. They're all incredible. They're all dynamite in the ring, no pun intended. They're all really good. So there's no reason for anyone to be, not that anyone would be disappointed. That being said, there are a couple of things here that I am genuinely that I'm curious about, right? Joe Hendry is kind of in this interesting spot here where, he's trying to get his belt back, but here comes the upstart Mike Santana, very reminiscent of Joe Hendry's rise. Obviously not to the same degree because, man had a song that went viral on the Apple Store and got super famous overnight. But you're seeing this guy, born and bred TNA, rising through the ranks, just like the way he did, getting put in the matches, just like the way he did. And I think that there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity here to either tell a story of a Joe Hendry who's frustrated with losing, who maybe stops believing in himself. How dare he? There's also a Mike Santana who, got that, Matt. Okay, you're enough of you right now. All right, we just gotta enough of you. Okay, look, don't. How dare you egg me along? You of course have Mike Santana, who is Mr. TNA, and has proudly worn that banner, and even in a more IRL capacity, even though, as we always say, that's not a thing that we're focusing on, there's always those rumors about Joe Hendry going to WWE or leaving TNA, whereas Mike Santana is in. My guy is in for the long haul. You can see it. So, Jake, because let's be honest, again, I just asked you, because look at this freaking smug dude. Look at him just with his smug ass.
What else, guys?
Where would you like to see, Jake, this manifest itself with Joe Hendry and Mike Santana? Because it feels like we could get a really interesting collision course here.
Yeah, I mean, look, when it's told well and done right, I love seeing face versus face matchups.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. The dynamic between these two is fascinating and could be very fascinating because they are both so similar and so alike. They're both very much self-made men, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they both took completely different paths to do it.
Yep.
They're both inspirational in their own capacities.
Yep.
And I think this would be, this is just one of those, I think it could be one of those rare situations where you have this rivalry of respect that could come out of it. Where it's man, I want to wrestle you to the end of time, not because I hate you, not because I want what you have, but because I respect the hell out of you. And if I want to be the best, I got to fight the best.
Yeah.
And I just those are the kind of rivalries I feel like you don't see them often. When they're done well, they're so much fun. And I would love to see them become these rivalry. I'd love to see them become this rivalry of respect.
Yeah.
That's what I would love to see come out of this, Joe versus Santana thing. Because look, at the end of the day, I don't think Trick is walking out of Slammiversary with the title. 100%. The odds are against him now.
100%.
The odds are completely against him now. He doesn't have to be pinned to lose it.
Yep. I do want to say, though,
that he will.
He needs to be pinned. I cannot stress that enough.
Agreed. I think that he needs to be pinned as well.
Yeah. If he does not get pinned, I'm mad. I'm just gonna be very real with everyone.
But man, like this is a banger of a matchup. These are three. Like Trick is super over. People love Trick, even though he's heel right now. Hendry is Hendry. Santana has scratched, clawed, and climbed his way to the top and deserves to be in this title picture too. I'm thrilled that, oh my God, can you look at that picture right there? Him coming through the crowd in New York City with that flag up, man. How can he not come? How can you not want him?
We always have one on standby. We always have a flag on standby. Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
I also have one, but mine is upside down for a reason. Signal distress. Anyway, this match is going to be so great.
Yeah.
I mean, it is such a marquee matchup because you got three people who are just scratching the surface of what they can do between Trick and Joe and Mike Santana.
Yep. And look, I've been go for a match.
That's going to be a banger match. Hey, look at
the bumps, yeah. The final boss of Goosebumps.
The final bumps.
No.
But I got the final bumps.
What I like about these three, and in this story, is Jake, you have a really good point. They all want that. All right.
What I do.
But they all want that spot, but like for very different reasons, right? They're all so motivated to keep it or get that spot, but for very different reasons. So we have three very different characters fighting for the same thing.
Yeah.
Trick wants to retain control, right? He's a bad guy who's like, look, I came into this other territory. I kicked down the door, and by any means necessary, I'm holding on. I'm running this, but it's an ego trip. Like, look at this. I don't even work here, and I run the show.
Yep.
And he's got people like First Class helping him. For Joe, it's redemption. I didn't like him using the redemption line because he basically co-opted the Osprey promo. Ascension and redemption.
Yeah.
I think we should get away from that. But it's him. It's like, look, I was riding the highest I ever was, and I fumbled, and I let someone like Trick beat me. I need to reclaim that. And then for Santana, there's such a great personal story there. We've told it numerous times since he's returned. His battle with sobriety and getting into the best shape of his life, doing this for his daughter, getting back to the company that first gave him a shot. But now I'm not just an extra talent. I'm not just a tag team guy trying to get a spot on the show. I'm here to like put in the work and run the damn thing, like live up to that legacy I set out for myself as a kid. But it's really one of those stories. So he wants to finally win the big one.
And I just want to say as well, and I know I'm using this picture again of him holding the Puerto Rican flag for audio listeners. Like, you have to also understand, like, there's like a cultural thing on this as well that's quite powerful. I actually watched House of Glory do the Mike Santana Puerto Rican weekend, and like, not just a sense of pride that I felt as a Boricua, like watching this show, but the reaction that this man is getting, it's not coming from like a viral music song. It's not coming from like, no, it's coming from this dude walks through the crowd every day. He's with the people. He's always cheering with them. He's always like that's a powerful thing. I think that like does matter. It draws your attention. It makes you, and if anything, it feels like for Mike, it's about restoring the glory to TNA. Whereas I feel like for Joe, it's about restoring the glory for Joe. And then for Trick, it's about being able to just say that I can do it. And I want to side with the guy who's doing it for the people over the guy who's doing it for himself and the guy who's doing it just because he thinks he can. And I think that's really cool. I think that's a great story. You're so right.
But it's also like, but the thing too that's great about Joe is, even though he's doing it for himself, in a way he's he's earned that.
Yeah,
You know,
sure,
the
true. It was
first the
very
first
true.
one
Very true.
the first one was to prove to other people, hey, I can be at the top. I can hold this title and I can run with it. But now that he's lost it, and not only lost it, but lost it to a man outside of the company.
Yep.
Joe has to prove to himself, I deserve to have this title.
Yeah.
So like there's so many great stories folded in here that like
Yeah, this is the most hype I have been for the TNA title picture in a while, in a minute.
Yeah.
And I've liked a lot of the stuff with the TNA title picture. Don't get me wrong. Nick
I
Nemeth's
have
run,
too.
I quite enjoyed, right? Joe Hendry's run, even though there were some ups and downs, I did enjoy some of the moments where they were playing around with like the Elijah and him and all that stuff, right? But this is like, I'm buying that pay-per-view.
It feels big.
I'm consuming. Okay, I am consuming, and it's not just. And obviously, look, I know, like, I have a little bit of bias because hey, Boricua, but the reality.
Did you say? did you see he has a new shirt out that says "Big Boricua Energy"?
Oh yeah,
Big Boricua Energy.
Yeah, I am buying that.
I saw that the other day, and I was like, "GB's 100%."
I am buying it. It's that one and the Ricochet bald guy shirt. Those two. Those
no bald shaming.
Yeah,
or
no, stop bald shaming. Like those two are definitely. And do I need more wrestling T-shirts? No. Do I want more wrestling T-shirts? Yes. Some other small things we should highlight on this episode, which, by the way, also do want to give some flowers to AJ Francis on a really fun street fight.
By the way,
they had a hell of a match.
If you order stuff from TNA, be sure to use the promo code Drama King Matt for them to add an extra 10% to your order.
Yes.
You lose 10% of value by using code Drama King Matt.
Yeah, they will add 10% to your
It'll
order.
add $10 to every order.
Yeah. Exactly. There was a big thing that did happen on this episode of Impact as well that I do want to cover because Ash by Elegance is now the #1 contender for the Knockout Championship, but Masha Slamovich is going to be going up against Killer Kelly first, so that's on the pathway, but Ash is the #1 contender, and I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say, maybe we do it. Does that make me crazy? Maybe we do it. I don't know, but I'm kind of...
Title on Ash?
Yeah, I think you do it.
Ooh.
I think you do it. But that could be a conversation for another day. We'll see how things develop, but I think you do it. Honestly, I don't know.
Give her the title by Elegance?
Title, like championships by Elegance? Because she's still Knockouts tag champ with
Currently,
Heather.
yes. The Elegance brand is still Knockouts tag team champion.
And, you could Freebird rule it with because I didn't
That's
think...
true.
Because I think Maggie is in the team now, right? If I'm correct.
But let's also remember who showed up after that battle royal.
Well, outside of...
Oh, I'll tell you because I was there.
I have it right here. Go for it.
Yeah. So Masha came out, but so did NXT Women's Champion JC Jane.
Which is still perplexing that's good on her, but man, I did not see that one coming.
That was a shocker. I mean, obviously Vakur was onward faster than I think they realized.
Expected, yeah.
And so, but JC's been putting in the work, so I think it was kind of a crowning there. But yeah, so it's a really interesting situation because the Knockouts world title is like all over the place because Masha already has a set match with Killer Kelly for this week that we're filming this. She has a new contender for a undetermined time in the future now in Ash. And now the NXT Women's Champion is showing up and staring down the Knockouts World Champion here.
Yep.
So,
well, and isn't that match? Isn't the match? It's a chain match, right?
The one that's happening this week with Killer Kelly.
Yeah. So, who knows what kind of impact that's going to have? No pun intended. What kind of impact that's going to have on Masha's health and well-being?
Sure. Yeah.
True. Sure.
Because how many times have we seen you win the battle, but you lose the war because you come out injured? You're not at 100% in other matches. So regardless of the outcome or the result rather of this match this week, it could have serious implications on the future.
Sure.
This felt like, and Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but this did feel like a little bit of an injection into the knockouts title division, right, or like the knockout singles title division right now. It felt like it was like a shot in the arm that they needed to kind of get things like going. Because for a while, you know, Masha's been having good matches, but she's been in NXT land, having to deal with all that stuff, and hasn't really had much of an opportunity. And then meanwhile, you know, you have the Elegance brand continuing to rise with the knockouts tag titles and stuff like that. And now you're at this point where, like, I think Ash has very much found her footing as a character, as a wrestler in TNA, fits quite nicely. While at the same time, you also have all these moving parts with, you know, Masha and JC Jane now coming into the fold, Killer Kelly getting involved in this. This is great. This definitely, like, we're away from Tessa Blanchard. That's really good. You know, like, that's not to say anything about Tessa specifically, but just the fact that we're shining light on
branching out.
We're branching out on some and that was the thing that we were a little worried about. Like, where do we branch out to? And it feels like we got a healthy dose of that. Would you say, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, we've needed a little bit of a boost to the knockouts division. I think we've added some people recently. I think there are a lot of new people. We just had Harley Hudson and Myla Grace, who I think are fantastic, but they're still new to the system. They're going to need some time to season and mix in with people, but I think they'll be great. We literally just signed on a surprise. They competed on an explosion match, 2 wrestlers by the name of Mila Moore and Jada Stone, who actually are really talented. But again, they're like brand new and they'll kind of have to be incorporated in. So, like, long term, I think we're going to be very healthy.
And you got Indy Hartwell, who is a
now
bona fide star.
That is a recent, like, already made injection, to your point. So I think it's been a bit of, like, since Jordan kind of left and since the beginning of the year, it's been a little bit of I agree, kind of like holding steady, not a lot of movement or excitement in that division. And I think we're going to start getting there. We're going to start cooking there now.
Yeah, very excited. Very excited. And of course, we'll be keeping tabs on all of that. There were other great matches as well. We talked about the Order 4 situation last week. And, you know, we had our matchup with John Skyler and Mustafa Ali. It was a quicker one. It was a quicker one than the Hodge match, but it was good because there was a big thing that ended up happening. Just as you thought that Mustafa Ali was going to strike down Tasha Steelz, strike down his fellow team in Order 4, Cedric Alexander appears. And not just appears, comes in to defend the 3 members of Order 4, and then the 3 members of Order 4 stay behind Cedric Alexander as Mustafa Ali exits the building. I felt like that was very telling.
That great shot with Ali trying to leave with Tasha. Yeah, that had a really nice reaction. If you go back and watch that, like, people really like have that, like,
what's the relationship between Tasha and Cedric? Because I don't know.
They know each other, like, and that'll get explained a little bit more. But I mean, this is clearly, if you've been watching Impact, Tasha Steelz has been kind of caught on the phone, texting someone, trying to call someone, trying to get someone to come in.
Hey, he's out of control.
Yeah, you're the only one who can talk to him.
Yeah.
And so, because that's the other thing, notice Ali was about to get very violent with all of them, right?
Yeah.
But notice Cedric, he didn't run in and drop Ali, right?
Yeah.
He didn't run in and attack him like, oh, stop it. He ran in to talk to him like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ali is doing what any good leader would do. You know, our
beat down the resistance.
Yes.
And the weakest among you take away their support.
Hey, the bald eagle on our dollar bills has olive branch in one hand and arrows in the other. It's a balance. You got to strike that balance. You know?
And if that new bill passes, but if the new bill passes, we won't even have any.
Has tried to extend an olive branch. He's tried to extend an olive branch, and now it is time to lead with the with the stick.
But the problem is that he's not, because his boys literally stayed behind Cedric.
So now they're gonna learn.
They gonna learn today.
They gonna learn today.
We've said it for the past 3 weeks now. This is one of the, if not the best and most compelling story in TNA. I would say that the world title picture has definitely hit up a couple of ranks since then.
Absolutely.
But this, for the consistency of the narrative, which is important for what we talk about here on Rebooked, this story is freaking amazing. So just more, please. Please give it to me to put it in this little bowl so I can consume more. Yes, a little more meat on the bone, if you don't mind. And then you take that bone and then you put it in a pot. And then you put some water, and baby, you got stew going. You got stew going. Shout out to legend Carl Weathers. So really fun stuff.
Oh, I watched the first 4 Rockies this weekend. It was awesome.
Damn, that's good. Actually, I'm gonna go back and watch Predator.
On AMC.
I want to go back and watch Predator just because I want to see the that moment again. But yeah, we'll of course, as always, be keeping tabs on this, talking about TNA next week. It seems.
And one thing that I'd like to do. Sorry, before we move on,
please.
is, and I don't think that we do this or mention enough. Matt, tell us how you can watch TNA.
Ooh.
There are lots of ways. Of course, the primary televised way is Access TV. I know it's not in everybody's home. So if you don't have that, you can, of course, join us. TNA Plus is the one-stop shop go-to for everything. TNA Plus has the weekly show. It has the TNA Plus specials. It has a lot of the pay-per-views, depending on what tier you get.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken,
that's where everything goes.
If I'm not mistaken, they just added the TNA Plus app to Samsung smart TVs. I think I saw that the other day. So yeah.
Jake from California, that's a great point. And let me tell you, they did it. It's starting to get on more and more platforms.
Awesome.
We did also ended up on a couple more like local affiliates. I think like in the Southeast, like there was a couple of small time. We're on Claro Sports in South America now, which is actually really big. Sportsnet 360 in Canada, which is where WWE used to be. So like getting on more and more networks, but the big one-stop shop is TNA Plus.
And we got to stress, we are not paid for that at all. Matt is an employee of the company.
Technically, I guess I'm not paid for this time. I should bill. I'm going to invoice them.
Okay, you should.
Advertising spot.
Especially with as long as this show goes, you could bill hourly for
that's
show
true.
ski.
Okay, that feels like a personal attack. The reason why, and I want to be honest, like we talk about that because we really do like enjoy TNA. We really do care about more professional wrestling in not just North America, but in the world.
To more wrestling.
The best thing.
Wrestling is like the political system. The two-party system doesn't work.
It's true.
Like there's not enough variety. We need at least we need a third party.
We need the Democratic Socialists of America, which I am a brand new card-carrying member of. I'm really excited. Actually, like real story, I did. I donated to the DSA. It's pretty dope.
Great.
I'm in the meetings
now. So we've
now.
identified another threat to America.
That's right. Threat to right here, baby. Look forward to. I have a bunch of pictures of JD Vance on my phone. That are of our little,
the memes.
The memes.
So you can't get through.
I'm gonna make it my wallpaper when I walk into customs next time. See if they stop me.
You should make a special booklet for your passport.
I agree. It's just pages of different versions of it with the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory memes and all that stuff. No, but honestly, like we really do enjoy TNA. It's awesome. Support it. Support more professional wrestling. Well worth your time. All right, that takes us to our last topic of the week, and it's a big one. Even though we spent a lot of time talking about so many things going on, AEW is celebrating some pretty freaking awesome milestones. This week will be the 300th episode of AEW Dynamite and the 100th episode of Collision. But obviously, Collision achieving 100 episodes, that's dope. But Dynamite doing 300... that's pretty sick. I remember going to the very, very first one at the Capitol, was it the Capitol Bank Arena in Washington, D.C. Got to see Nyla Rose go up against, Riho in a world title match. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I remember that.
In her hometown. It was great. In Nyla's hometown, and Riho's, obviously. So, and I believe that was the episode with the Dippin' Dots. I could be wrong. I might be misremembering that. when JR was like, not the Dippin' Dots. I I could be misremembering that though. But it doesn't matter. Point is, it's really cool to see AEW celebrate this, and they're doing this on the road.
Record. Dippin' Dots suck.
Whoa, I wasn't ready
Dippin'
for
Dots suck.
I'm in the middle.
I mean, like, I don't
If
think
I
they
want
suck.
ice cream, I don't need a gimmicked ice cream. I just want ice cream.
Okay, in that regard, yes, we can agree. But if you're, let's say, you're in a facility where the only thing they have available is Dippin' Dots and not high quality, good soft serve ice cream from the Mr. Softy truck,
then I won't have any.
So
Okay,
you're telling me though,
that's fair.
you're as a sports fan, you've never had the popsicle gimmick stick that was like the gumball in the glove from the ice cream truck?
Oh well, of course I have. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not.
how's that the gimmick of all gimmicks?
I don't know. That was long established before Dippin' Dots decided to walk in here like they own the place and
Big
say,
Dippin'
"Look how
Dots.
revolutionary! This is the ice cream of the future." Well, where the fuck is it? Where are all the Dippin' Dots if it's the ice cream of the future? I don't see it.
I don't
You're not
see them
wrong.
nearly as much as I used to.
You're not wrong. If
I
anything,
won't
I
stand
feel
for
like
it, especially with this being the first day of National Ice Cream Day, National Ice Cream Month. Excuse me.
Yep.
Dippin' Dots. Nah.
Dippin' Dots, I send it back. You just see, I send it
If
back.
it's- if they are dots, I send them back.
I will agree with you, because if you come to me and you give me high quality ice cream, right, and then you give me Dippin' Dots, I'm gonna slap you in the face and take the ice cream, and then I'll probably take the Dippin' Dots too. But I'm gonna eat the ice cream first.
Clicking off the video.
But if you go to someone's house and they're like, "You want some ice cream?" and you're like, "Yeah," and they bring you Dippin' Dots, no,
Yeah,
I'll leave. I'll leave your home.
They should be removed from the premises.
You want to get me out of your home?
This is
Offer
true.
me ice cream
This
and
is
give me
true.
Dippin' Dots.
And look,
That's all I'm saying.
we understand that you guys come to Rebook for the hard hitting narrative analysis and talking about all the latest and greatest in the world of professional wrestling. But sometimes we do feel the need to have to educate people on how things are in the world. So thank you, Jade.
Yes,
Appreciate you for that. I think it was a. We achieved a goal.
Sometimes you have to draw a line in the sand, and Dippin' Dots is my line.
We achieved a goal. Let's talk about, though, this 300th episode of Dynamite, because this is going to be a big one. We have a couple big title matches set up for this. I'm going to pull up my info right now so I don't miss anything. A couple big title matches.
Well, no, we've got Mercedes Moné against Mina Shirakawa for the TBS title.
That's right. I'm looking right now.
One of them.
That one is going to be quite fascinating. We also have Kota Ibushi going up against Kazuchika Okada for the Continental Championship. That one, I don't expect, obviously, a title change to come out of that. But if you know the history of those two men, and by the way, speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling, we also had a huge thing happen where Zack Sabre Jr. is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion for a second time. So, we'll see what happens there as Forbidden Door is coming up. But I do want to spend time on that Mina Shirakawa Mercedes Moné matchup, because on the surface, you could say that Mercedes wins. But as we have seen, they're okay with her shedding some of the belts because she just picked up the CMLL Women's Mega Campeon, right? That's what it's called. So there is precedence, right?
Sure, but there also seems to be some kind of mutual respect. I don't want to say alliance, but a mutual respect between Mina and Toni Storm.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm wondering if Toni Storm finds herself a role in this match.
Sure.
However, Mina specifically told her to stay away from the map.
Exactly.
And we all know how great Toni is at listening and respecting others' wishes.
That's true.
But yes, that's fair. That is true.
And let us not forget as well that this isn't the first time Mercedes and Mina have fought one another. They fought each other, I believe, in Stardom. They fought each other for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. So there's history here between these two. But one thing, and I think one of the things you mentioned, Jake, that is worth highlighting is that in that promo, when she told Toni, hey, don't, interfere in the match, don't get involved, right? Mercedes Moné has been increasingly poking the bear of Toni Storm each and every week. And I can see a world where she comes out and decides to poke the bear again. And then that pisses off Toni. And then Toni gets back in. and then that causes a problem. And I actually think that could be kind of cool. Adds a ripple to the story that I wasn't necessarily expecting here. This is gonna sound bizarre and weird, and I don't know if they'll do it. But I had this theory, and I was like, I'm gonna put up the graphic, a little fantasy booking, brother. Okay,
all right, let's do it.
This is a little weird, but bear with me. Let's say Mina, something happens. I know that face. I don't know. Matt just killed me.
I don't know what it was either.
You watch it on YouTube and be horrified with us. What if Toni gets involved and causes Mina the championship, and then that inserts Mina into the match, and in turn, Mercedes is defending her TBS championship in a triple threat, and Toni is defending her world title and the same match.
I send it back.
Okay, cool. You send it back. Sometimes we send it back. And that's perfectly fine. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think outside of the box here of like, what are some of the fun directions you can go? Because the TBS championship not being defended at All In, it's going to feel a little odd, right?
So that's why I think Mina's going to win.
And I'm also okay with that too.
And to the point, I even shot back at you, Jake, because I was like, I do feel like it's rife for Toni to get involved, but she promised her friend Mina that she wouldn't get involved. I wanted to try to find the actual language Mina used. Was it interfere or was it involved? Because I'm like, what if she's like, well, I'm not here to interfere,
but
I'm the guest referee. I am in official capacity. Like, I'm the official for this matchup. Mercedes freaks out, and then maybe not a fast count because you want Mina to be a legit champion, but distraction and Mercedes going nuts causes her downfall, and Mina wins with Toni Storm as the guest referee.
Because we know that the one thing Mercedes cares the most of anything is how heavy that shelf is draped with gold.
Yeah.
And you take that away from her, and you got even more blood in the water between the two of them.
So then the question though is how much does the outcome of this match inform the result of All In?
I don't know.
I don't know, actually. What I mean? I don't know.
Like,
that's a good question.
If Mercedes wins or loses, do either of those, in your mind, affect her odds of winning or losing?
Just from a
storyline perspective, and like, you know what I mean?
Your common logic would be lose here, win there.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has to be that way.
I don't think it does either, especially with, like we said, how many titles she has.
Yeah. Because like it feels like a foregone conclusion that she's going to win because of the circumstances that they've set up. But it is an opportunity for them to really go outside of the box and try, hey, do we really need Toni Storm's title run to end right now? It's been pretty good. I don't think anyone's asking for Toni to lose the title. That said, if she does, Mercedes Mone isn't the worst option, right, Jake?
No, I don't. I mean, no, I don't think so either. But I just was having a thought. I was like, who is the longest reigning women's champion in anything, like, period? Because I'm almost like, man, would I like Toni to have like a freaking,
4-year reign,
Roman Reigns style run, like where she just like, because the thing is she's that good. She is honestly that good. There's not a match that she's had or a story that she's been involved in that I have not been interested in.
I'm looking up right now.
I mean, she's that damn good.
Yeah.
So like, it's almost kind of like, I mean, and honestly, like right now, the only person in AEW's women's division that I see even having a chance at knocking off Toni, unsurprisingly, is the person that she's facing at All In.
So, the longest reigning is Hikaru Shida at 372 days. She has the longest single reign.
Nikki Bella kind of up there?
I'm saying in AEW.
Long range. I mean,
in WWE, it's Bianca at 420 days.
Yeah.
Damn.
Bianca had that
Little
for a hot minute.
over a year.
I don't think that they necessarily need Toni to hit the record that Shida has, but I also don't. I'm also okay if her title reign exceeds her. Well, here's the thing. It's actually quite interesting because her current reign right now is at 134 plus days. Her last reign was at 281 days. And it kind of played that 281. I remember they were playing up to that like long reign narrative, that time around with Toni Storm's character. So, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility they try and like beat that, but you don't need to. But I think though that does set up a really, you know, out there, like, will they, won't they type of joint. You know what I mean? Like you kind of give yourself a lot of opportunities here. So yeah, that I think that's a good point there. Jake, what about you, Matt? Are you like, do you know? Do you feel, or not know, but do you feel like this situation with Mercedes, or do you know? Because apparently it's my God. Yeah, what do you make of it?
The omniscient drama king.
This to me, this is 50-50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it just depends on how they want to tell the story. This one's a tough one to call. I would like to see what I just talked about on tonight on Dynamite. With I would like to see her drop the TBS title, but I don't see them pushing Toni to break her last record or try to break the record. I think they do want to crown Mercedes at some point, and I think why not here?
True.
If you're building to this already, there's part of me in that. But I don't know. I'm still at that 50-50 mark.
Yeah, but it is exciting. That one is definitely like what's going to happen on Dynamite, but then also, you know, what could potentially come at All In does make me quite excited for like the future and like how they can position this. And most importantly, I think right now more than ever, getting the TBS title off of Mercedes is the best direction, because the AEW women's division is really good right now. Like really good. It's getting stacked. Megan Bain is very much establishing herself in that division quite prominently, both in stature and in status. And I think that there really is no argument that you have a very strong mid-card women's division right now. Yeah. You know, go for it. And also do the women's tag titles. Don't be a coward, TK. Come on, let's do this. I think it would be really dope if they were to have like a women's tag title match at All In. But, you know, we don't have a lot of time for it. It's next week. So maybe not.
That has never stopped Toni from throwing an extra match on the card.
That's true. I mean, you can easily just be like, hey, guys, we're doing this. And everyone, I mean, it's All In. So I wouldn't put it past him. A couple other things. Oh, go for it.
I want to over under on how long. We'll talk about this next week. I want to over under on how long you think All In is.
Oh, well, I'm going and I'm excited, man. I'm really.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I'm buying.
Nice.
I'm getting the ticket today, bro. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. Like, go to an AEW show, go to a TNA show. It's so freaking like affordable. Like, if I want to get, I'm gonna get floor seats, and I'm doing $380 for floor seats. Yeah.
Wow.
If I wanted to do front row, like further up, it's like 700-ish. For context, when I did my box seats for WrestleMania, I spent $1,500 across the 2 days, and that was because we had a deal with 20 plus people, and it cost us $100 to get a bowl of chips. So, and I'm not lying. That actually did happen, and my Puerto Rican ass could not, like, I was offended. I was like, bro, I'm way too brown for this. This is crazy. But yeah. Like, seriously, it's way cheaper. And I know people are gonna be, hey, cause AEW sucks and blah blah blah. And no, it's just not gross pricing, because they're not a publicly shared company that needs to hit record profits every year, because, you know, capitalism. So seriously, like, if you are on the fence of going to TNA, like I would do, or sorry, well, yes, at TNA and AEW, I would do it. I would do
Well, be glad that it's at Globe Life Stadium where they have a retractable roof because it's gonna be hot as hell
Yeah,
in Texas.
Yeah, that's the part I'm not looking forward to. But you know,
I would definitely want to be all inside.
Yeah,
for that because man,
my ass is gonna be leaking that day. I might even have to bring an extra pair, extra shirt, extra socks. Like it's gonna be crazy.
I'm telling you, if it's anything like Bama heat during the summer,
insufferable.
Ugh.
Yeah, I send it back.
The air sticks to you like napalm.
I send it back,
like
bro.
It feels like you're walking out in an armpit. Like it's just gross.
There were some interesting things that happened on Dynamite as well as Collision. We know the Mark Briscoe, Chris Statlander. They're the #1 entrants in the Casino Gauntlet match. I really like the way that they shaped this. They didn't do this before. This is like, I think, one of the first times that they're like doing like the fight for #1, because you want to be in that match first because of the format of the match, which is AEW's most unique format by far. It's basically a Royal Rumble-esque in that, you know, people come in after 5 minutes or so, but it is a flat-out match, and you have to get pinned or submit in the middle of the ring, and there will be other entrants, quote-unquote, in the matchup, and those entrants may or may not come out, as we saw with Roderick Strong like a year or so back when he didn't get his opportunity to come out in the match. It's really, I love this format, and I love that they went this route. Mark Briscoe seems to be on a collision course with MJF as well in some capacities, which is interesting. And Chris Statlander could end up being a new member of the Death Riders, which I did not see that one coming. We'll see. There was also another thing that I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on. Did you happen to see the segment between Christian Cage and MVP?
No, I missed that.
Oh,
No,
I did
this
not,
one was good. So after the match,
this was on Collision.
This was on, I believe this was on Dynamite. No, this was on Collision.
Okay,
right.
I was about to say because I watched Dynamite, but I forgot to watch.
Yeah, so on Collision, right? Christian Cage and his son, totally genetic son, Nick Wayne, fought in a tag title match against, I believe it was, it didn't really matter. Oh, it was Big Bill and Brian Keith. Yeah, there it is. But that's beside the point. They won the match. They go to backstage, and then Christian's telling Nick Wayne, like, this is just this first step. Like, we're going to keep winning. To which MVP then shows up and says, hey, bro, I heard you talking about you wanting the tag team championships. Do you think you can do this? You're one of the greatest tag team champions of all time, but you're teaming up with a little boy, and I don't know if he's ready for this. And I'm like, oh, child, we are about to witness an ass beating like the world has never seen, because Christian Cage is 100% going to leave Nick Wayne to the wolves. And I see memes abound. It's going to be incredible. I mean, it could be a generational ass kicking. And you
thought Charles Robinson got dropped by a shoulder check from John Cena.
Wayne GC was Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley doing Nick Wayne, bro.
You're gonna throw him out into the crowd.
That boy don't stand a snowball's chance in hell. So yeah, and I think like I like this because I can see Christian and Edge getting back together again out of this. But I don't know. Maybe this is just my cope. But yeah.
Have you noticed that Nick Wayne kind of looks like the kid that delivers pizza in The Office that gets held hostage?
Yeah.
Yes.
You ever noticed that he kind of looks like that guy?
Same person, dude. Yeah. And he about to get served. I'll tell you that much. They're in that match. So yeah, I just thought that was like really interesting, but it further illustrates, I think we're about to go on some crazy runs with Hurt Syndicate. Because they're already doing some good stuff here with MJF. They're doing stuff with the tag champs, but man, something's afoot. And I feel like we're setting up Hurt Syndicate becoming the next big bad of AEW post Death Riders.
It could be.
right? Is that exciting, or is that something you're looking forward to, or do you want to see maybe the factions not take as much of a prominent role, even though there's so many factions in AEW? What's your read on that, Matt?
Please, not out of like AEW. That's not fair because play a role. It feels like there's so many, and like they've been at the forefront for so long with like Death Riders and the Elite, and like it's always AEW versus it feels like the last like 2 years have been Team AEW versus they gotta get the Elite, Death Riders, Jack Perry, and all this. Like I just want I want more individuals back on the heel side of things, like especially as champions like that on the men's side for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little sick of it. I would not like to see it just be like a Death Riders out, Hurt Syndicate in. Like, please give us some breathing room. Let individuals shine through.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and you're right. And you're right. But Bobby Lashley, like Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, I know. They do the same thing they've been doing for the last 10 years in any company they go to.
But it's still working. It's
cool. But if they run the place, I'm going to be so bored.
Yeah, no, and look, I'm not disagreeing with you.
If they run the tag division, if they're like running roughshod on the tag division, they have a dominant reign for the tag titles, great, because then you can build some really great tag team to beat them.
Yeah.
But like if they're like just the faction in charge of like fucking everything up.
Yeah.
Like
after we just did the Death Riders.
Yeah.
GB, could you bring up the picture that I just dropped in our Riders round?
You got it, boss. Hold on. You are an evil man, and
it is dead.
Hold on a second.
It's dead on.
Hold on a second. You are an evil man, my friend.
It's the same person. I'm telling you.
Oh my God! I cannot unsee this now.
And that doesn't include Tip.
Oh man, that's great. And in case you're wondering, for our audio listeners, Jake managed to splice a picture of the delivery boy from The Office in that episode where he was held hostage for being a douchebag.
That was Dunder Mifflin Infinity. That was the launch party.
The launch party of Dunder Mifflin Infinity, side by side with Nick Wayne, and it is
scary.
It is scary. If Nick Wayne was born in the early 2000s, or rather was born in like the 90s, and then was this age into the early, they'd be the same person. They would be the same person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Man, that is some good. That, in the words of a person who we dare not say his name, that's some good shit. So. Yeah, I mean, look, there are some great storylines here. For
puppet. We'll credit that to the puppet version.
We will. There have been some great storylines in AEW. You also had the Battle of the Kyles this week with Kyle O'Reilly versus Kyle Fletcher, which, funny name convention aside, was actually a really great match. Well worth your time. Check that one out. I forgot this one detail on the Mina Shirakawa Mercedes Moné match.
Okay.
It's Mercedes' 1000th match.
Oh.
I just realized that. I had it written down in my notes. It is her 1000th match in professional wrestling. That just
makes me think she's losing even more.
I think she's losing even more. We'll have to see. We'll come back next week and react. We'll start with AEW and see where things go. But man, and we also got Swerve and Young Bucks confirmed at All In. That's going to be a banger. So very much looking forward to it. Sorry, what did I say?
Yeah.
Swerve and...
You said Swerve and Young Bucks.
Sorry, yeah. Swerve and Ospreay versus Young Bucks at All In. So that is definitely going to be a banger for sure. So yeah, a lot. And I think it's good. Keeps those guys away from the Casino Gauntlet. Who the hell wins the Casino Gauntlet? We'll predict that next week. But
we'll talk about it next week. Yeah.
We'll talk about that next week. Next week expected to be a long episode because we basically have AEW's WrestleMania coming up. So we're going to be putting a lot of time into that. And we also have Goldberg's last match, apparently. because that's what he has said, is that it is his last match. But we know in the world of
No, we don't have much
WWE,
to cover for WWE, is what we're saying.
yeah, we don't have exactly. And on
It's
top
gonna
of
be what
that,
it's gonna be. Whatever.
but we also do have Evolution that week, so we will be talking about Evolution on the card and what
On
the card is looking
Sunday,
like.
right?
Yeah, on that Sunday.
12th?
So
Yeah.
next week,
Or the 11th.
this week is pretty
No.
loaded, but next week expected to be a loaded episode.
Whatever.
Yeah, so much coming up just this weekend alone. Obviously by design, which isn't nice to say, but it is what it is. I expect it's going to be a fantastic weekend for all of professional wrestling. All right, well, that of course takes us to what can only be described as one of the greatest segments to ever be created in the world of podcasting ever. It is the Rebooked 24/7 Champion of the Week. This is, of course, the thing that brings us the most joy, not just in the world of professional wrestling, but just in our lives, because we need more joy in the world. And joy comes in the form of a failed WWE title with Jake's face on it. And honestly,
Failed. How dare you?
I was ready for you to
24/7
contend that.
title is legendary.
It will live on forever. So, we got a lot of stuff this week. I actually would like to go first, if you guys don't mind, because there was, for those who may not know, my little doggo, my doggy Stella, she had a bit of a medical emergency, and we were taking care of her and stuff this week. And, you know, I was very depressed and a little bummed, and a lot of things were happening. She's better now. So just so everyone knows, we know we'll hopefully, right? We keep hoping. That's, as they say,
Stella your 24/7 champion of the week? Because I'll go ahead and give it to Stella.
Stella's my
if that's what
forever
it is.
champion. She's my forever champion.
enough.
So that is, I don't even need to award her that. But in that process,
Rebooked Hall of
though,
Fame.
True, Rebooked Hall of Fame. Actually, all of our pets are in the Rebooked Hall of Fame. So that goes without saying. But
Except Dale, and he knows why.
and yeah, poor Dale. He was not first ballot. I actually stumbled on YouTube. I've been watching just old wrestling matches. I watch wrestling matches kind of like put in the background the way that you would like lo-fi or something like that. Actually, AEW has a great lo-fi playlist with a whole bunch of old matches that they just put on, and I just put that on in the background, listen to the vibes, watch great matches. But as a result of that, I've been finding more professional wrestling promotions and more opportunities to check out independent wrestling. And I stumbled upon Ashe Wrestling, which is so freaking awesome. They have an awesome whole identity to them. Obviously, it's a wrestling promotion, celebrates Black excellence. It's got a lot of really great professional wrestlers that come in through on there a few times. And they had one of their shows this week. It was the Battle of the Dariuses as their champion. I believe his name is Darius. Darius Hawthorne, I think is his name. The gentleman on your right here, he is the current Ashe world champion. And it was just fun to watch, fun show, great matches. Commentary was really good as well. I want to give a special shout out to the lead play-by-play commentator, and Big Swole was on commentary in chair 2. So it was really fun. They had some real funny one-liners, good moments, and really, I just think kind of like the way that we highlighted like mystery wrestling a while ago. I just want to find ways to just give love, even we're a small podcast, just give love to independent wrestling. And as a result of that, I started watching a ton of House of Glory stuff. I started watching some CMLL stuff. CMLL actually has a great playlist where you can actually get the promos from the wrestlers in English. They're saying it, but they're getting translated into English. So you can learn a little bit about like what the motivations are for the wrestlers going into the matches and stuff. They just put up Bandito versus Místico, which, oh my God, watch that one. That was a crazy match. Just Ashe Wrestling. Great promotion. Give them some love. I quite enjoyed my time watching it. What about you guys? What do you have?
Well, I part of me wants to do pizza by Alfredo now, but we all know that's not the.
What about
Alfredo's pizza? Is
which was the one that we like? Was Alfredo's
both in quality and taste?
Yeah. Okay. There it is.
No. So this weekend is a national holiday, and I know that for a lot of people that takes on a different meaning right now for a lot of people, and understandably so. And what I want to do is I want to take a moment and make my 24/7 champion. I want to salute the people that are most important on this 4th of July holiday. And that is our grill masters. That's who I'm saluting. The grill masters.
I agree with that.
Those of you who are burning, charring, grilling, smoking meats of all varieties and kinds to share with your loved ones. That's what it's all about. I'm giving it to the grill masters this weekend.
I agree with that.
You get out there, you wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, crack open your first beer and start smoking that hog, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, there are actually a couple of events happening on 4th of July. And I think like the overall vibe was grills and, you know, like just eating food. And look, I think that is that's pretty awesome. And yeah, I do agree, right? Shout out to the grill masters. It's the time of year where you truly shine, you know, because you don't get that opportunity. Like, yeah, you know, the tailgating, we get it, you know, like the grill masters shine the tailgating.
I mean, like,
it's a time when everyone's grilling. You know, it's a time when everyone's grilling. So I like that. I like that. Matt, what about you, bud?
All right, I'll let you guys choose. I have don't say both. The whole point of this is to choose. I have a wrestling one and a non-wrestling. Which one do you want to hear nominate?
Ooh, which one's funnier?
They're both a little silly.
Let's do the wrestling one then.
I picked the non-wrestling.
Okay, I'll go with the non-wrestling then.
I picked the wrestling one.
Jesus Christ, Jake. What do you what
well, we couldn't say both, so if we both pick opposite, let's do the wrestling one. Let's do the wrestling
one.
Right.
Wrestling one.
So the wrestling, we talked about it earlier on the show as well. This past week, it was not a good week for the New Day. It was not. They lost their precious tag team championships. We don't know where they're going narratively. It's unfortunate. Friends of the show, I would dare say, considering your relations to all of us. However, we got a bold, beautiful, shiny highlight from that match. And that was the magnificent gams of Xavier Woods, who wore trunks, which he rarely ever does.
Yes.
It's maybe happened like once or twice in like 10 years, the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But he had them all cleaned up. He was looking thick. He was looking strong and glistening in the lights.
Look, hold up. I mean, guys,
thighs save lives. Xavier Woods, look at it.
Look at these thighs, and look.
It makes me wonder why he's been wearing pants, tights for so long.
I just also want to say the fact that it says "Thank God" in the back of his trunks while he's showing those thighs is actually
look. I can't tell from this angle. It might say "Thigh God," and it would be appropriate if it
would be. It would be. Damn, there's a lot of ways we can go this week, and there are some good ones, but I gotta give it to Woods' thighs. Yeah. Honestly,
I won't throw those thighs on the grill this weekend.
Thick thighs may not win titles, but they save lives.
And you know what? You'll find a lot of good thighs watching Ashe wrestling. So it all checks out. You know what I mean? Like, cause they
eating good barbecue will give you some thick thighs.
We'll give you some thick thighs, También. Oh yeah. So we're giving it to the thick thighs of our dear friend Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed, the host of Up Up Down Down, a former G4 host, coworker of myself and Jake, rival to Matt. I'm sure at one point in time, many matches, yes. Woods, if you happen to be watching this, your thighs are winning our Rebooked 24/7 Champion of the Week. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for us this week. Bit of a longer show, but we appreciate y'all sticking with us. Lots of fun stuff coming up on the horizon across WWE, TNA, and AEW. And, of course, if you happen to enjoy the yapping and the things that we talk about here, and shout out to the folks who have reached out and have said, like I've seen people mention, like, oh, I like the way you guys talk about pro wrestling and stuff like that. Thank you. That means a lot. We're going to keep doing it because we genuinely enjoy it. And if you want to keep up with us, you can check us out at www.rebookedpod.com. There you can find links to our social media, links to our podcast, links to our YouTube. Everything is on www.rebooked.com. Thank you so much once again, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.